If you looked down from space, you would see a massive landmass floating between the Arctic and the Atlantic, so enormous that it could swallow entire countries inside its borders. A place that, by almost every natural rule, shouldn't even exist. It's called Greenland, the Greenland. But the truth is the complete opposite. More than 80% of this island is buried beneath ice that stretches for miles in thickness. Temperatures can drop so low that metal becomes brittle. Blizzards can erase human footprints in minutes. And for thousands of years, this place has stood untouched, frozen, isolated, and almost impossible to survive. So why would a land like this be given a name that sounds fertile and welcoming? The answer begins over 1,000 years ago, when a banished Viking explorer saw opportunity hidden inside this frozen wilderness. He gave this icy world a name designed to attract settlers, a promise of hope at the edge of the known world. But Greenland's story is far more than a historical illusion. This is the largest island on Earth, a colossal frozen reservoir holding secrets that could reshape the future of our planet. And now, as this ancient ice begins to melt, Greenland is no longer just a remote place on a map. It is quietly becoming one of the most important places on Earth, in ways almost no one is prepared for. But if Greenland is becoming one of the most important places on Earth, it is also one of the most isolated places humanity has ever tried to call home. Despite being the largest island on the planet, Greenland is inhabited by only about 56,000 people. Spread across a landmass larger than most countries, its population density is so low that vast regions remain completely untouched by human presence. Beyond the thin line of coastal settlements lies a frozen interior where survival is nearly impossible. A silent expanse of ice, stretching farther than the eye can see. Here, distance is not measured in miles. It is measured in survival. Greenland has no road system connecting its towns. Not one highway links its communities together. Each settlement exists as its own small world, separated by towering glaciers, jagged mountains, and frozen wilderness. Traveling from one town to another isn't as simple as getting in a car. In many cases, it requires crossing some of the harshest terrain on Earth. Instead, airplanes serve as critical lifelines, flying through narrow weather windows to transport food, medicine, and people. During the short Arctic summer, boats become essential, navigating icy coastal waters between settlements. But when winter takes control and darkness blankets the island for months, traditional transportation methods like dog sleds and snowmobiles become not just practical, but necessary for survival. This extreme isolation reshapes everyday life. Supplies can take days or weeks to arrive. Medical emergencies often depend on whether aircraft can land through violent Arctic storms. Entire communities must prepare for long periods where outside help simply cannot reach them. Yet, within this isolation, something remarkable emerges. Greenland's communities are built on cooperation, trust, and resilience. In a land where modern infrastructure fades into the background, survival depends on human connection. And in this frozen world, where the outside planet often feels impossibly distant, Greenland reveals a powerful truth sometimes. The most remote places on Earth can create the strongest bonds between the people who live there. And it is within these isolated settlements that Greenland's most extraordinary story begins to unfold. Along the island's rugged coastline, small towns cling to the edges of the frozen ocean, positioned where the sea offers the only reliable access to food, travel, and survival. There are no sprawling cities here. Instead, each community feels like a fragile outpost, standing against an environment that constantly tests the limits of human endurance. From Nuuk, the capital, to tiny fishing villages with only a few hundred residents, every settlement exists as a delicate balance between nature and survival. One of the first things visitors notice is the explosion of color. Bright, red, yellow, blue, and green houses stand boldly against the endless white snow and dark Arctic waters. But these colors are not simply decorative. Historically, they served as a practical system of identification, Red buildings often marked churches or trading posts. Yellow signaled medical facilities. Blue was used for industrial buildings like fish processing plants, while other colors helped residents quickly identify essential services during storms or heavy snow. In a landscape where visibility can disappear in minutes, color became a language of survival. Daily life here follows a rhythm shaped entirely by the environment. Fishing remains the backbone of many communities, with icy waters providing shrimp, halibut, and other Arctic species that sustain both local economies and global markets. Hunting traditions, passed down for generations, still play a role in providing food and maintaining cultural identity. Children grow up learning not just modern education, but also the skills needed to respect and navigate the Arctic wilderness. Building society in Greenland requires constant adaptation. Infrastructure must withstand shifting ice, extreme cold, and violent storms. Supplies must be carefully managed, and communities must prepare for long, unforgiving winters when sunlight barely touches the horizon. Yet despite these challenges, life continues to flourish here. These settlements are more than survival points on a map. They are living proof that even in one of the harshest environments on Earth, human culture, community, and identity can not only endure, but thrive. Behind the survival of these Arctic communities lies a people whose history is inseparable from the ice itself, the Inuit. Long before modern towns appeared along Greenland's coastline, the Inuit had already mastered life in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Their ancestors migrated across the Arctic thousands of years ago, navigating frozen seas, shifting ice sheets, and landscapes that offered almost no margin for error. Over generations, survival here became more than skill. It became identity. The Inuit developed an extraordinary understanding of the Arctic environment. They learned how to read snowdrifts like maps, predict storms by observing subtle changes in wind and sky, and travel safely across sea ice that could collapse without warning. Traditional hunting methods allowed them to harvest seals, whales, and fish in ways that sustained entire communities while respecting the fragile balance of the ecosystem. Every tool, every technique was shaped by necessity and refined through centuries of experience. Their adaptation extended beyond culture and into biology. Studies have shown that Inuit populations developed unique dietary and metabolic traits, allowing them to thrive on diets rich in marine fats and proteins that would be unsustainable for most other populations. In a land where agriculture is nearly impossible, this adaptation became one of the keys to survival. But Inuit life has never been frozen in the past. Over the last century, rapid modernization has transformed Greenland's communities. Snowmobiles and GPS systems now exist alongside traditional sled dogs and ancestral navigation techniques. Younger generations attend modern schools while still learning the cultural knowledge that connects them to their heritage. This transition has not always been simple. Balancing modern life with ancient traditions presents challenges that many Arctic communities continue to face. Yet, the Inuit remain at the center of Greenland's identity, carrying forward a culture built not just on endurance, but on harmony with one of the planet's most unforgiving environments. And as Greenland itself begins to change, the knowledge and resilience of the Inuit may prove more important than ever in guiding how humanity understands and survives the Arctic future. And to truly understand how the Inuit learned to survive here, you have to understand the force that shaped everything around them, Greenland's nature itself. Because in this frozen world, the planet does not follow the rules most of humanity is used to. For months each year, time seems to behave differently. During late spring and summer, the sun refuses to set. Known as the midnight sun, daylight stretches across the sky for nearly 24 hours a day. Entire communities live under a constant golden glow, where midnight looks almost like early evening, but just as suddenly, the balance reverses. When winter arrives, darkness can swallow entire regions for months at a time. In some northern settlements, the sun disappears completely below the horizon, leaving only faint twilight, and the haunting glow of Arctic skies. It is during these long polar nights that one of nature's most mesmerizing spectacles appears. The aurora borealis ribbons of green, purple, and crimson light dances across the sky in silent waves. For centuries, these lights have inspired legends, spiritual beliefs, and a sense of wonder that still captivates scientists and travelers today. Yet beneath this beauty lies an environment defined by extreme cold, shifting sea ice, and unpredictable weather patterns that constantly reshape the Arctic landscape. Despite these brutal conditions, Greenland supports a unique and mysterious ecosystem. Polar bears roam drifting ice sheets. Narwhals glide through dark Arctic waters, their spiral tusks cutting through frozen seas. And deep below the surface lives one of the most extraordinary creatures ever discovered, the Greenland shark. Scientists believe some Greenland sharks can live for over 400 years, making them the longest living vertebrates ever recorded. These slow-moving giants drift through the freezing depths, surviving in waters so cold and dark that few other predators can endure them. In many ways, they are living time capsules, silently witnessing centuries of Arctic change. Together, these natural forces create a world where survival demands constant adaptation. And as Greenland's environment continues to transform, it reveals just how fragile and extraordinary life can be at the very edge of the habitable Earth. And while Greenland's wildlife has evolved to survive this unforgiving environment, human life here requires a different kind of adaptation. One built on creativity, resilience, and constant preparation. Daily survival in Greenland begins with food. And in a land where farming is nearly impossible, the Arctic itself becomes the pantry. Traditional dishes reflect centuries of survival knowledge, shaped by necessity rather than preference. One of the most unusual examples is kiviak, a dish made by fermenting small seabirds inside a hollowed seal's skin and burying it underground for months. Another is fermented Greenland shark, prepared carefully to remove naturally toxic compounds. To outsiders, these meals may seem shocking, but for generations, they represented reliable nutrition during long, brutal winters when fresh food simply didn't exist. Yet modern Greenland is not frozen in tradition alone. Schools, hospitals, and public services operate across the island, supported in part through Denmark's social welfare system. Education and healthcare are widely accessible, even in remote settlements where teachers and medical professionals must work under extreme conditions. Children grow up learning both modern academic subjects and the cultural traditions that connect them to their Arctic heritage. Maintaining modern life in Greenland, however, comes at a cost, literally. Nearly everything must be imported by ship or aircraft, from fresh produce to construction materials. This makes everyday goods significantly more expensive than in most parts of the world. A simple grocery trip can cost several times more than it would in major global cities, and infrastructure projects require enormous logistical planning just to transport supplies across the ice. Despite these challenges, Greenland's communities continue to thrive by balancing tradition with modernization. Local sports leagues, community gatherings, and cultural festivals help strengthen social bonds in places where isolation could otherwise dominate daily life. In this environment, survival is not just about enduring the cold, it is about building a functioning society in a place that constantly challenges humanity's ability to exist. And as Greenland maintains this delicate balance between past and present, it is quietly stepping into a new and far more complex role on the global stage. And that new role may soon transform Greenland from one of the world's most remote frontiers into one of its most strategically important territories. For decades, global superpowers have quietly watched this frozen island, not for what it is today, but for what it could become. Greenland sits at a critical crossroads between North America, Europe, and Asia. Its location offers unmatched military and surveillance advantages across the Arctic, a region rapidly emerging as a new geopolitical frontier. The United States has maintained a military presence here for generations, recognizing that control of Arctic air and sea routes could reshape global security and trade in the coming century. But geography is only part of Greenland's growing importance. Beneath its massive ice sheet lies an enormous reserve of natural resources. Scientists and geological surveys suggest that Greenland may hold vast deposits of rare earth minerals, oil, natural gas, and valuable metals, essential for modern technology. From smartphones and renewable energy systems to advanced defense infrastructure. For decades, these resources remained locked beneath miles of ancient ice, unreachable and largely forgotten. Now, climate change is beginning to alter that reality. Greenland's ice sheet is melting at an alarming rate, losing hundreds of billions of tons of ice each year. As glaciers retreat, they expose new land, new waterways, and potentially new access to resources that were once impossible to reach. But this transformation carries consequences far beyond Greenland itself. The island's ice contains enough frozen water to raise global sea levels by over 20 feet if it were to melt entirely. A scenario that could reshape coastlines and threaten millions of lives worldwide. Greenland now stands at a crossroads between opportunity and risk. Economic development, global political interest, and environmental responsibility are colliding in ways that could define not only the island's future, but the future of the Arctic and the entire planet. Once seen as a forgotten world of ice, Greenland is rapidly becoming a symbol of how climate, technology, and geopolitics are rewriting the map of the Earth, and the choices made here may echo across generations to come. For thousands of years, Greenland has stood as one of Earth's last great frontiers, a place where survival, culture, and nature exist in a delicate balance. But today, this frozen island is no longer just a distant land of ice and isolation. It has become a living reminder of how deeply connected our planet truly is. What happens in Greenland does not stay in Greenland. The melting of its glaciers influences global sea levels. The resources beneath its ice could shape the future of technology and energy. And the resilience of the Inuit people offers lessons about sustainability, adaptation, and respect for nature that the modern world is only beginning to understand. Greenland challenges us to rethink how humanity interacts with fragile environments, not as conquerors, but as caretakers of a shared planet. If this journey into one of the most remote and mysterious places on Earth sparked your curiosity, take a moment to explore more stories like this. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone who loves discovery, and join a growing community that explores the world not just to see it, but to understand it. Because the more we learn about places like Greenland, the more we realize that the future of our world is not written by distance or borders. It is shaped by knowledge, awareness, and the choices we make together.